Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Let us go into the prayers. Prayer 1.
Dear Senate President, may I be given a chance to speak?
Prayer 1.
Yes.
That the Senate do suspend Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for 6 months for a total violation of the Senate Standing Rules 2023 as amended for bringing the presiding officer and the entire Nigerian Senate in general to a public opprobrium. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. I'd put the question.
This injustice will not be sustained. The pursuit for justice.
That's what I'm about to explain that.
Yes.
Yes, so many people do not know what I'm about to say, but I'm going to speak my own truth. And the Senate President is allowed to counter that. It all started on the 8th of December, 2023, which was a day before his birthday and my birthday. We are birthday mates. We were all in Akpabio because he had a big fanfare in the stadium. Myself, my husband, and a few of his close friends, we went to Akpabio. And at first, we were at Ikot Ekpene. We were in his house in Ikot Ekpene. Then we all moved to his house in Uyo, which was about 8 p.m. And he held my hand and said he wanted to show me around his house. My husband was walking behind us, just 3 of us. We're walking around from room to room. He showed me the beautiful interior. This was done by this, by that, this designer here, he bought this from us. Like, oh, it's beautiful. And then I noticed that he hastened his pace while still holding my hand. And my husband was behind, still on his phone, but he was catching up whenever he could. And then he got to this particular sitting room, and he said, "Do you like my house?" I said, "Of course, sir. Every room, beautiful, nice interior, quality taste." He said, "Now that you're a senator, I'm going to create a time for us to come spend quality moments here. You will enjoy it." At that point, I just pulled away and I was like, I don't really understand what exactly that meant. But then my husband now, when I turned around, I saw my husband was already near me. And the way my husband looked at me and looked at him, I was beginning to wonder, did he hear part of that inciting statements or not? And then the Senate President too, I saw that he also had that thought, like, did my husband hear the invitation to treat or not? So then the Senate President now said, "Oh, by the way, let me show you my chapel." He has a chapel in his house as well. So when we were going to the chapel, you know, we walked in silence and all. So that evening, before we left the Senate President's house at about 11 midnight to the 4 points in Ikot Ekpene. And my husband asked me, "Natasha, what did the Senate President whisper to you? What's he telling you?" I thought, should I tell him that he was speaking about bringing me in here at a special time for us to have a good time? Or should I just kill it there, wrap it as if there was nothing? Because tomorrow was a big day. I know how much my husband adores the Senate President. He loves him as a brother. My husband would do anything to support him. So I told my husband, nothing. I can't remember what I created, but I just gave him some words to manage, to mask what was said. After, when we laid in bed, I looked to my right and my husband wrapped his arms around me and he said, "My love, you know you can't tell me anything. What did the Senate President tell you?" Again, I was like, "Don't you believe me?" I said, "Nothing. Nothing. Moreover, it's my birthday in a few minutes. Let's just be happy." Then my husband told me he doesn't want to see me travel out of the country alone and I should not go to the Senate President's house because he has a guest house where many senators do go there, you know, after office to like get approvals and all that. So I told him, okay, no problems. That was it. I thought that was going to be the end. But then, in February, I wanted to move a motion. I wanted to move a motion for the investigation on the ills of corrupt practice in Ajakuta Steel Company. I listed that motion 5 times. It was the 6th time that it was listed on the order paper that was approved. Many senators can testify to that. Each time the motion is listed, just before he takes it, he will say, oh, Senator Natasha, we can't take this motion because the board of the Senate does not accommodate it. Or he will speak on others and then let it drag so that just before my motion is taken, the time will be well spent. So he kept on doing that. I went to him in his office. And I said, Senate President, you know how important this Ajakuta Steel Company to me is. You know how important it is to my people and to Nigerians. I've noticed that you have stepped down this motion. As a matter of fact, a number of senators told me, go and see him and plead with him so that he would take it. I was like, sir, please, why can't you take this motion? It's very important. It's been listed. Then it was listed the 3rd time I stepped down. He then said, Natasha, I'm the chief presiding officer of the Senate. You can enjoy a whole lot if you take care of me and make me happy. At that point, I said, sir, I'll pretend that I didn't hear this. He said, well, the ball is in your court. I left his office, and when I got home, I told my husband, I didn't tell my husband what happened. I just told my husband, please, can you speak to the Senate President to allow my motion scale through? I think I also spoke to the DSP, to the leader, Senator Pemi. I spoke to a number of senators that they should please intervene and allow him to laugh. I never told them what happened. My husband had to take a trip to London. Then the Senate President traveled to London. My husband met with the Senate President in London and pleaded with him, let my wife take this motion on Ajakuta. That is very important to her.
Okay. All right, Senator Natasha.
Said, okay, that he did not take it because he was protecting me. Hold on, please. He didn't take it because he was protecting me. Protecting me from what? Anyway, at the time the motion was taken, it was the Deputy Senate President, His Excellency Barao, that actually sat. The Senate President stood up and walked out. So it was Senator Barao that actually took it.
All right, Senator Natasha.
And from there, many other incidents happened.
Yes, Senator
let's
Natasha.
Talk about the nightclub. Yes. Hold on, let's talk about the nightclub incident.
Professor Kila is going to ask you a question. I'm so sorry to have to interject here, but I just want to mention that, and I'm glad you gave the caveat at the beginning of your statement, that this is your side of the story, and the Senate President has the right to defend himself or to counter what happened between you privately. So what I assume, or for what you're saying, is that what happened last week Thursday began from a private conversation, and then you have felt like you've been maligned as a result of you not agreeing to certain propositions, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
what has happened?
Yeah,
you know
so
the same story of when a student keeps being failed.
Yes.
Please, let me say this, Ayo. You know the situation we see in universities whereby a student is continuously being failed just because she has not slept with the lecturer. That's what I've been facing, in simple terms. Sexualize me by addressing my attire as being transparent, and that the only thing I know how to do is to wear pancake to the chambers. So when I filed that suit, Senator Ireti Kingibe, hold on, Senator Ireti Kingibe, Senator Akpabio, and Senator
we're low on time,
three women will send messages to me that they do not support the litigation. And none of them have called, apart from Senator Ireti, that called my husband to tell me to withdraw that suit and all that. And my husband charged her that you were the same person who had come to the house to tell him that the SP was hitting on his wife sexually. So why are you now against my wife standing up for her rights? So let me tell you something, Mr. which nobody knows. No, Mr. Rufai, please allow me to say this, please.
Please go ahead.
Can I say this?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Senator. Please go ahead.
Now, at the nightclub incident, I believe that was not a slip of tongue. That was not a slip of tongue. He has a number of times told me that there are various ways we can have fun. If we travel, he has a way of making the house, the space. He can basically create a party in the space. Do you understand? Like a nightclub in the space, and would have fun and all of that. So that nightclub incident statement was not a mistake. It was more like out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. But let me say this. a night, the day before he, please, Rufai, let me laugh.
Go ahead, Natasha.
Go ahead.
Let me speak, please.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Well, we're
if you don't want me to speak, I'll walk out and complete this on my Facebook, please.
Please go ahead.
We're
Natasha. Trying to manage time, Senator, but go ahead and finish it quickly. We're trying to manage time, but please go ahead.
The night, or should I say that morning, early hours of the morning that he apologized, which was 23rd of July, 2024. That was the morning he apologized. So the night about, I have it printed here, I have the screenshots of the phone call. It was 14 minutes past midnight when my phone rang. The leader of the House called me, Senator Michael Bamidele Okpeyemi called me, and he said, Senator, how are you? I said, I'm fine. He said, you know, in the wake of all of this rancor, if the Senate President goes down, I will go down too. And I said, what do you mean, sir? At that point, I woke my husband up because he had fallen asleep before me. I said, are you calling me to threaten me? I could hear murmurs from the Senate President. I could hear the Senate President's voice at the background because I could tell he was on speakerphone. He said, no, I'm just telling you that, you know, there's a whole lot of attack on the Senate President, and if things go down, if he resigns or something happens, I should know that I'm going to be held responsible, and I also go down. At that point, I started shouting. I was like, you can't call me at midnight and threaten me, sir. You can't do this. And mind you, I was actually surprised because the leader of the House is someone I respect greatly. He's a very good friend. He's a very calm person. And I believe, I'm saying it, that if he actually made those statements, he probably was told to do so. So I dropped the line. And then I dropped the line. The first conversation was just 2 minutes, 33 seconds. Then my phone rang again at 26 minutes past midnight, that same day. And then it was the same call, Senator Okpeyemi's line, but then it was the Senate President's voice. He said, Princess of the Senate. That's how he calls me casually. You know, I've been attacked. My wife has not slept for days. She's been crying. She's received lots of insults, all because of you. I said, no, sir, it's not because of me. It's because of you. I didn't force you to order that statement. And I did not call on the support I received from Nigerian women. So don't blame it on me. He said, no, he's telling me this because the Dane of Agbo, I think he's a king in Agbo in Delta State. So the Dane of Agbo spoke with him and told him that he, that's the Senate President, was the most hated politician in Nigeria at that point. Mind you, that was a few days to the protest. There was this end bad governance protest on the 1st of August, and this incident happened like a week before. So he said the Dane of Agbo told him, Mr. Senate President, you know, your rating is all low. You're one of the worst. You are one of the most hated politicians now. So I would advise, he said the Dane of Agbo advised the Senate President to leave Abuja because if he is caught in the middle of the protest, he could be attacked by the Nigerians. I said, so why are you telling me this, sir? He said he's telling me because he found it insulting that the Dane of Agbo would tell him to leave, to run away, to leave Abuja. And that he's telling me, so Natasha, I'm telling you, go and tell them that if anybody over the age of 20 approaches me during the protest, I will what was the word? Hold on. I will take that person down. The Senate President told me over the phone that based on the advice that the Dane of Agbo gave him, that he should leave Abuja in the wake of the protest so that he will not be caught and probably will not be approached or attacked by the youth. He said, Natasha, I have the capacity, I'm number 3 citizen. If anybody over the age of 20 dares to confront me, I will take that person down. That person should dare me with his life. I said, at that point, I started shouting. I now told my husband, he didn't know the phone was on speakerphone all the while because I'd woken my husband up from the first speaker. I was like, my love, Can you hear what he's telling me? This is exactly what he does. At that point, now when he knew, he was like, is your husband there?
Oh, yeah.
I said, yes, sir, my husband is here. And he heard everything. He then told me to pass the phone to my husband. And you know what he said? Immediately he changed his tone. He was like, oh, Alema, I have a slot for you for an appointment from Delta State. Why don't you bring a nominee? And I took the phone back. I shouted at the Senate President. I said, you can't pacify us. You can't threaten me on one side and then pacify me, sir. I'm aware, even though the conversations took place on by WhatsApp, I know that the DSS and the NSS office, they have the tools to extract these phone calls. And I'm going to publish if, yes, sir.
Okay, Senator Natasha, thank you.
So and he told me that, well, all you want, hold on, please. He then told me that, all I want is an apology. He would apologize on the floor that morning, and that he expects me to accept it. So all that morning, when I walked in, I was already threatened. I was already petrified. This is a man who had already called me at midnight, so I didn't sleep all night. I just had to say to his seamless apology.
The issue came up here. Our distinguished sister was not even speaking from her seat. And that was when we tried to call her to order. I think part of the problem is when people come from court declared senators, they miss the orientation. The management of the National Assembly is hereby ordered to organize periodic orientation, particularly for senators who are midstreamers, who came midstream and did not start when their colleagues started. Because I remember that this particular senator, on the day she was sworn in, raised her hand to speak. I was scared, but I had to recognize her because I was saying, you just gave her the rule book. Part of what we give to you when you are sworn in is a standing order of the Senate. So I said, she wouldn't open the rule book to know what she's going to say. But she made the contribution on that day. I think 2 days later, she brought a motion. There's nothing wrong in being vibrant, but there's a lot wrong when you don't know anything about the procedure. You can't be a reverend father and go and start the church service with communion. You must lay foundation. By consensus, the Senate leader has moved a motion and has been seconded. Those in support that the disorderly conduct of our colleague, distinguished Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, we referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges for necessary further action. Say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. However, I would like to state clearly that at no time did I ever attempt any sexual harassment on the said distinguished Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan or any other woman for that matter. I and my siblings were raised very well by my late single mother. She died in year 2000. Through very difficult times, and I therefore have the highest regards for women. Even at demise, I still cry till today. I also wish to state that I also have 4 beautiful daughters. So at no time will I ever harass any woman, and I've never done so.
So I really don't understand where this is coming from. And I believe that for somebody to go and make such an allegation, there must be a discussion at home. There must have been a sanction or an approval. We are going to say this, go ahead and say it. And if the approval has come from the husband, our friend, I believe that he would have spoken to me because we are close. He's close to my husband. But if he didn't give her the approval, to go on air and make such an allegation, then the question is, does he have control?
She further maintained that the allegations are unfounded as she was present at her family residence on the alleged date 8 December 2023, stating that both families enjoy a lasting standing cordial relationship that predates Senator Natasha's marriage to her husband recently.
The session was taking place in his presence. He could have heard. Even the
Come on now.
President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, and I stand to raise a petition under Order 40. A petition may only be presented to the Senate by a senator who shall affix his or her name at the beginning thereof. The petition is in my name against the President of the Nigerian Senate, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, for sexual harassment, abuse of office, and malicious obstruction of my legislative functions. You may recall, sir, that on Friday in Arise TV, I did make some statements. And I have decided to narrow these statements in a formal petition against the President of this Senate. So if it may please you, I would humbly step forward and lay this petition.
You may proceed.
This is in court now.
Distinguished colleagues, this petition is hereby referred to the Committee on Code of Conduct, Ethics and Public Petitions to revert to the Senate as soon as practicable.
Petition.
Any other petition? Yes.
Any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he or she shall be prepared to move without notice a motion declaring that the contempt or breach of privilege has been committed. I stand and I believe herefore, sir, that your denial, your refusal to accept and treat my petition before the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges and Abuse of my privileges, and I say forth that this matter is not it is not before the court. The matter before the court is on the defamation and cyberbullying statements made by your special assistant on new media, Mr. Patrick Umfom, who addressed my decent outfits as transparent, thereby depicting that I walk sedulously and naked to the chambers. That is the nature of the petition of the case in court. This petition, sir, has never been filed. The petition that alleges, or should I say, accuses you of making sexual harassment moves, abusing your office, and making malicious obstructions to my legislative functions has not been tendered anywhere before, no court in Nigeria. So, sir, I would appreciate if you kindly accept my petition and forward same to the Ethics and Privileges Committee so it could be treated. Thank you, sir.
Yes, first let's finish with Senator Banguru. You're the Chief Whip of the Senate. Your point of order is sustained. Yes, distinguished Senator.
Mr. President, you know, this Senate, Section 40, subsection 4, of which also says, no senator shall personally sign a petition to be laid before this Senate. It's not about committee on ethics. It's not about waiting for the committee to take a decision. It's about whether this matter is right to be referred to the committee. Mr. Senate President, you were being emotional because you didn't want to be seen as trying to stop this allegation. That was why you even allowed it to be referred. The Senate erred by referring it to the court. It's not competent to stand before the Senate. That is the issue. It was signed by the most distinguished Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, for whom I have a lot of respect. We cannot rewrite our rules because of anyone, and we'll be setting a dangerous precedent. Number 3, other than constitution and the rules, the Senate is guided by customs and conventions, parliamentary customs and conventions. In all of these, Mr. President, this petition cannot stand for 2 reasons. 1, the issues and allegations of sexual harassment are already issued before the court. And 2, because it is defective. The petition is defective and it's in violation of Order 40, subsection 4 of our rules. And in view of this, Mr. President, I just want to say that there is no way we can accept this petition. And having said this, Mr. President, may I then most respectfully, since we have said we should go to the next order of the day, may I then respectfully urge our colleagues that we proceed to an executive session.
The Senate leader's observations are noted. You've not moved a formal motion to that. But sorry, before you go there, I don't want to appear to have shut out any senator.
Yes, sir.
Senator Cyril Fassi.
Yes, sir. I am coming under Order 42. I am coming under Order 42 by the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate. A senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. Mr. Senate President, before I say what I want to say, I want to refer you to Psalm 34, line 19, which reads thus: many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him from them all. The righteous person faces many troubles, but the Lord comes to his rescue each time. Mr. President, I want to bring up a case that happened when when my former governor was the Minister of Federal Republic. Mr. President, I want to say this because my former governor is also going to bring a petition on the allegation that Senator Natasha alleged when he was a minister that sold Ajaokuta steel mill.
Your mic.
Yes, mic is. If this is what is happening about character, then we have to expose the character of a petitioner. Mr. President, I am coming officially with a petition from my former governor on the allegation that he sold Ajaokuta steel mill when he was a minister. And Senator Natasha was the one that alleged as at that time. And as at today, Mr. President, Ajaokuta steel mill it still belongs to the federal government of Nigeria. I have just said this as a notice, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, point of order is noted. Let me
Order 10, please. Order 10 again.
Senate leader.
And please. Dear Senate President, I feel I'm being judged. I say this, never did I accuse me of sexually assaulting me. I never found myself critical here.
Can anybody? I say
respect?
Move it now.
Order, please.
Distinguished Chief Whip of the Senate, your point of order is sustained.
Order, please.
Nice to speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, order 10 on privileges.
Asha.
Any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without notice. A motion declaring that the content of breach of privilege has been
suspension immediately.
Or refer.
Order, please.
Distinguished Chief Whip of the Senate, your point of order is sustained.
Order, please.
Nice to speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, order 10 on privileges.
Natasha.
Any senator may rise at...
So, distinguished Senator Natasha, I want to apologize to you if you felt offended. If I had mentioned that we are not in the market, they will say I said you are in market war. If I said that we are not in a nightclub where people shout above the noise of the music, they will say you went to nightclub. If I said you were not in a community meeting in the village, they will say Akpabio says Natasha is a village woman. For me, there is nothing I will say that will not be misunderstood. But I felt that I should tender a public apology to you over the miscommunication and the misunderstanding. So do accept my apologies, and my colleagues, or anybody who could have felt offended, accept my apologies. I did not mean any harm, and I did not mean what they are misinterpreting.
Mr. President, we don't want it to be killed. We just want a bit of modification. We don't want the bill killed, but it should be slight modification, sir. It's a necessary bill.
Distinguished Senator Natasha, in the chamber, you have to be recognized before you speak.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah, we are not in a nightclub.
And what you just watched was the full recap as drama unfolded in the Nigerian Senate, being that Senator Natasha Akpoti clashed with Senate President Godswill Akpabio over sexual harassment allegations, seat disputes, and alleged power play. From her explosive accusations to being forcefully ordered out of the chamber, tensions were at the all-time high. Natasha alleged that Akpabio made inappropriate advances towards her, and after rejecting them, she became a target of political intimidation. Meanwhile, Akpabio's wife threatened legal action, dismissing the claims. Now, the proceedings are over, and Akpabio wins, leaving Natasha getting a 6-month suspension from the chamber. But she isn't giving up, as she posted, "Against the culture of silence, intimidation, and victim shaming, my unjust suspension from the Nigerian Senate invalidates the principles of natural justice, fairness, and equality. The illegal suspension does not withdraw my legitimacy as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I will continue to use my duly elected position to serve my constituents and country to the best of my ability till 2027 and beyond." So what are your thoughts on this? Share it in the comments, and as always, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe for more explosive updates. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching, guys.